I'm Melissa Juarez-Ehlers. I'm the Senior Director of Program Services here at CEL. We do have some information on CEL if you're not familiar with us. We do have information at the back table, and feel free to get up and get some water or some snacks during Suzanne's presentation. Um, I want to also, if you aren't familiar with us, we're more than happy to give you a tour after the program. And Brittany will be back in the back, and I'll be back in the back, and we can help you answer questions, etc. If you want more information on the Center for Enriched Living. But you came here tonight for a presentation on Social Security. So I want to introduce Suzanne Aaron. Suzanne is the Senior Information and Outreach Specialist for the Illinois Lifespan Program of the ARC of Illinois. She's worked and volunteered in the areas of disability and advocacy and family support since 2008. She and her husband are the proud parents of Thomas, who we know very well at CEL, a young adult with IDD and autism, who has participated in CEL programs since 2017. So we've kind of watched Tom grow up. Her passion is helping families access and understand services that are available to them so that you are empowered to build an included and meaningful life for your loved one with disabilities. Suzanne is a 2018 graduate of Illinois Partners in Policymaking and has navigated disability services in the state of Illinois, which is a huge accomplishment, Ohio, and Indiana. So, Suzanne?
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for coming out on a rainy Wednesday night to hear about Social Security programs. Are you all able to see the screen okay? All right. So you might even see in the small print at the bottom, information accurate as of July 24th, 2025. If you're following the news, you know things are changing all the time. I, in fact, made an edit to this just yesterday. So we're going to get started here. But first of all, I want to tell you about the ARC of Illinois, the organization that I work for. This is our homepage, and we educate, we advocate, and we connect. We are an advocacy organization statewide in the state of Illinois for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. We are a chapter of the National ARC of the U.S. There are 650 chapters nationwide of the ARC. So if you're looking for services in another state or even within the state, there are different smaller chapters. There are chapters everywhere. And we are about advocating and serving people with intellectual and developmental disabilities and their families throughout their entire lifespan. And if you were listening closely, I am part of the lifespan program of the ARC of Illinois. We have several programs underneath the ARC of Illinois' umbrella. And what we do at the lifespan program is answer questions across the entire lifespan. So birth to end of life issues. What we tend to focus a lot on are these transition to adulthood topics, like Social Security and applying for that. But our vision, which is important for the ARC of Illinois, is happy lives with full participation in the community as much as possible for each individual. And so our mission is empowering persons with disabilities to achieve full participation in their community life through informed choices. All right. And so when I say that we advocate, what does that actually look like? It looks like providing key information on legislative and policy issues that are before us. So if you join our email list, you will be getting emails about different legislation, either in Springfield or in Washington, D.C., that may be impacting people with disabilities. We empower individuals to stand up for important policies that affect people with IDD. And boy, oh boy, we are in the world of acronyms right now. So IDD is intellectual and developmental disabilities. And we do that by directing people to make phone calls, coaching them how to make phone calls, how to find your legislator. There are these things called witness slips in Illinois that you can fill out that is a way to tell your legislator if you approve or disapprove of legislation that's being considered. So we do all that. But What really will come into focus tonight is this third point of making information and resources accessible through programs, webinars, and events. So I do a lot of outreach events like this to come and talk to families, self-advocates, professionals in the field so that they understand different benefits and programs that are available. So I want to go over our expectations for today. And so I am going to be defining, describing, and directing you to these Social Security programs that are available. I want to make clear that I am not a financial planner. I am not a benefits counselor. But I've been working in this field since 2008. And for some reason, my brain just geeks out on these benefits. I love understanding them. I love navigating them, helping people understand them. It's just something that fits with my brain. It probably has something to do with that I like working jigsaw puzzles and making things fit. So that is what we're doing today. I am also a fellow parent on this journey. I have navigated so many of these programs myself, so I can give you personal lived experience and recommendations on those. So today, I'll be identifying the programs of the Social Security Administration that can benefit people with disabilities. I'm going to describe the eligibility for each. I'm going to describe the difference between SSI and SSDI. And I'll be telling you where to go for assistance. I'm going to see if the microphone catches me if I'm standing back here. We'll see if it's working. All right. So after all that introduction, let's jump right in. Defining our terms and beginning with the acronyms. All right. So the SSA is the Social Security Administration. Fun fact, it's also my personal initials, but that's beside the point. But SSA is Social Security Administration. SSI is Supplemental Security Income. And yes, you may have noticed that I just emphasized the word income for that I. You're already getting a little sneak peek as the difference between the two programs. The other program we'll talk about is SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance. So there's the difference, income and insurance, but we'll be talking more about that in a minute. Okay, leaping right into SSI, or Supplemental Security Income. SSI provides monthly payments to people with disabilities and older adults who have little or no income or resources. There's the definition of SSI. You'll also notice at the bottom that this is in blue. It's a hyperlink. We're going to be sending you the PowerPoint and a list of all of these hyperlinks that I'm going to give you so that you can access them afterwards. There's always going to be more information for you in those links. Okay, so as the income part of the title indicates, this is money that comes directly to people with disabilities or their representative payee, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And this is meant to meet the basic needs of food, clothing, and shelter. It is paid monthly. It is designed to help age, blind, and disabled people who have little or no income, so it is needs-based. Fun fact, SSI is paid for and funded by U.S. taxpayers' general funds, just general funds from the taxpayers. Put a pin in that. There's a difference with the next program we're talking about. You need to meet the eligibility both medically and financially. So there are two hoops to jump through for SSI. There are two programs for SSI. One is for children specifically, and the other is for adults. And yes, there are differences in eligibility for both. Got another hyperlink for you at the bottom there. Okay, so let's talk about the financial eligibility for SSI. And I'm going to just take a moment to say that with both of these programs, I'm giving you a 10,000-foot view from above of what these programs are. They can be that. So we're just going to be doing an overview. If you have questions afterwards, I would love to hear them. I may be able to answer them right off the top of my head. I may need to do some research for you, but I just wanted to let you know that everything we're talking about is going to have a lot of information behind it on the website. Do that. So financially, it is based on the household income, the entire household's income until the month after the child's 18th birthday. After that, it's only the individual's income that is considered, and parental income is waived at that point. So, under the age of 18, it's the entire household. So, if mom, dad, aunt, cousin, teenage brother or sister working, it's the entire household income that's considered. After that, it's just the individual's income. Here's where I get into nutshell. This is 10,000-foot view. Okay. Easiest way to say is $2,000 in financial resources, or $3,000 for a couple. You are allowed to have a roof over your head or a home. It can be $1 million home, but you need to have a roof over your head. You're allowed to have one car. And there are lots more details in that Understanding SSI resources link that I've given you. That again, this is broad overview of what's allowed. And then there's a separate one for understanding resources, counted resources for children. But that's a good introduction. Just keep $2,000 in mind. You need to keep all those assets underneath $2,000. Now we're going to talk about the medical eligibility for SSI. Social Security has their definitions of being disabled. They deem whether you are disabled or not. If your child is under the age of 18, the disability determination is based on having marked and functional limitations, marked and severe functional limitations. They're looking at what is your child able to do? What are they not able to do? How are their peers doing? How are they doing in comparison with their peers with typical developmental milestones? So they're looking at that. And that typically is sort of the definition of disabled that we're kind of used to, right? Right? What can you do? What can't you do? How are you in comparison with development expectations? However, over the age of 18, the definition changes, and this catches a lot of people off guard. It's not based on whether you have a disability or not. The question is, can you work? That really is the question here. Can you work, and can you earn an income to support yourself? And of course, they have a way to determine this. The Social Security Administration determines an amount called Substantial Gainful Activity, or SGA. There's another acronym for you tonight. SGA this year is $1,620. Yeah, $1,620 a month. It's $2,700 a month if you're blind. So what does that mean? What does SGA mean? If your child is able to earn $1,620 a month, or $2,700 if they're blind, or if the Social Security Administration believes that they can earn that, then they're determined that they are not disabled. So you see what I mean by after age 18, it's can you work and can you support yourself? If you can earn SGA, or that substantial gainful activity, then they will say you do not qualify for Social Security. All right. So that's that meeting the definition of disabled. It also, the disability, your condition, has to last at least 12 months or expected to last longer than 12 months. Or, always a fun one to say, can be expected to result in death. I mentioned before about the REP payee, or representative payee program. These SSI payments come monthly. Most of the time, they are an electronic deposit that go into a bank account. If your child is not able to manage their money, manage a bank account and all that, then they will need a representative payee. Social Security Administration will assign this. They usually look to a parent or a family member to serve in this role. And so this is it is the representative payee becomes the representative payee for a special bank account at your bank of your choice. You cannot open that account until SSA has sent you the approval letter for SSI, and then you need to take that letter to the bank and say, we're ready to open a representative payee account. You can't do it ahead of time. You have to have that letter in hand for that. And it is expected that the representative payee, or rep payee, as we like to call them, is going to be using this money solely for the benefit of the beneficiary. In other words, you're not going to run off and go to the Cayman Islands for something, that you're going to be using it for their support. All right. I have a couple of different websites up here for you. One is on the representative payee program from Social Security, and then there is an entire guide that Social Security has published, a guide for representative payees, and there's a lot of really good information in there. So if you want to know more about that. Okay, so you've got this all set up. Your child has been approved. You're the rep payee if needed. Now, how can you spend the money? What can you spend it on? The intention for Social Security is that you're covering life's basic necessities. Supplemental security income, securing a person's livelihood, their well-being. So food and shelter and clothing. Those are the priorities for that. Now, once those needs are met, the balance can be spent on things that directly benefit the beneficiary. So, tuition for a Parks and Recreation class, fees at a day program, bedding, clothing, furniture, whatever is needed like that. That has to directly benefit the beneficiary. Right now, there's no requirement for us to be reporting things. If you're the parent of a young adult or adult with disabilities, right now there's no requirement that we are submitting receipts at this point, but we do recommend that you still keep good records on how they're being spent, just in case. All right. Okay. I am a little hyperlink happy, so I've given you some other hyperlinks here. There's a homepage for understanding SSI that I've given you. And if you're wanting to know more about programs for SSI under the age of 18, I've got a link for you there. And then also, there's usually a question about, okay, so if my child is receiving it at age 18, what happens when they turn 18? Because there's two different programs. How do we do that? It's usually triggered 2 months ahead of time before that 18th birthday. It's usually triggered by the office, by the Social Security office, and they will do a determination as to whether they are deemed disabled as an adult and if they can meet that SGA, if they can work. So that will happen automatically. Once you are approved, there are redeterminations at least every 3 years, at least once every 3 years. They will ask you, we just went through this ourselves. They're just checking on where you're living, what the living situation is, if there's any other income that's coming in, basically saying, do you still qualify? Still making sure about that. Okay. So now, how do you actually apply for this? How do we do it? Okay. I'm going to recommend that you use this first link, check the eligibility requirements, make sure, because again, like I was talking about the medical and the financial, there are more details about those assets and how to do that. So check all of that online. I've got that. You are going to apply online. I'm just going to be straightforward with you at this point. You can now make appointments for in-person. Really, as a general rule, you can't walk up to a Social Security office anymore and expect to be seen. On rare occasions, it can happen, but they really want you to be making appointments if you want to be seen online, but they really want things done either online or over the phone at this point. Okay, I want to be clear about that. There's a national 1-800 number, which is there, 800-772-1213. I'm going to tell you that wait times are long. If you call in the morning, it's a shorter wait, and sometimes you can get lucky, but here's a tip as well. If you call and it's going to be a long wait, then they will offer you the option for a callback. So I'm going to recommend that you call early enough in the day that they will be able to call you back. And they do. They do call you back. And so you don't have to sit on hold for 2 hours and 43 minutes like I might have done once to talk with an agent. Okay. So use the callback feature if you're going to do that. Okay. And you're also going to do that to make an appointment at a local office if you need to. Okay. Some other helpful links, which I will go through. Okay. We're going to get into SSDI right now, but I wanted to pause for a minute. I find that it's helpful to sort of take a breath after SSI. Yes. Are there any questions right now about SSI that I can answer? I guess that's two different things. Are there questions and can I answer them? Nothing for now. We will have time for questions at the end. Okay. SSDI is Social Security Disability Insurance. This is something you pay into, just like you would for any insurance policy. It pays benefits. I created this presentation for an audience that has adult children that are going to be receiving SSDI off of a parent's record or on their own in some cases as well. So this pays benefits to certain family members if the parent is insured. And how are you insured? That you've worked long enough to earn enough credits to be eligible to get Social Security benefits when you retire or become disabled or pass away. So, as many of us know, there are a certain number of credits. I believe it's 40 credits that you need to earn over a lifetime of earnings in order to be eligible for these. So it pays benefits to certain family members if the parent is insured. There is a childhood disability benefit. This is previously labeled Disabled Adult Child, or DAC. You may have heard of that. The childhood disability benefit can receive SSDI parents' payments based on their parents' Social Security earnings. When a parent retires and starts taking retirement from Social Security, so you have to retire and you have to take retirement from Social Security, or if a parent starts receiving disability benefits themselves because they have become disabled, or if a parent dies. Those are called survivor benefits. And there's a link there for how you qualify for disability benefits there. Now, we're going to get into the same qualifications for under 18, qualifications for over 18. But medical requirements for SSDI are the same as SSI over the age of 18. So it's, can you work? Okay. Remember when I said put a pin on that SSI is paid for by general tax funds? SSDI is paid for by Social Security taxes that come out of your paychecks. So that FICA line. That's how this program is funded. Like that. Okay. So for SSDI beneficiaries, for a minor child, there's no disability requirement. A child under the age of 18 can receive SSDI benefits as a dependent, regardless of having a disability or not. And children who are receiving those payments under the age of 18, may be eligible to continue receiving those benefits off of their parent's record if they have a qualifying disability. So if you've got a child under the age of 18 that is disabled, again, they're going to take a look when they turn 18 and see if they meet that eligibility of disability at 18, and then they can continue receiving those benefits. If they are eligible, then they are considered a disabled adult child, or DAC, and they get those childhood disability benefits. A DAC is defined as an adult with a qualified disability that began before the age of 22, meets the definition of disability for adults. They have to be unmarried. And again, there's that number. Their earnings have to be under $1,620 a month, or $2,700 if blind. This is for the year 2025. Those numbers will change. They change every year. Okay. So we might have some people in the audience that this relates to. A young adult with disabilities, can qualify for SSDI by working and earning credits on their own earnings. This was previously, they're called credits now. They used to be called quarters, if this was something that was familiar to you before. They're just called credits now. So if your child is working and they're disabled and they've got a job, they can earn up to 4 credits per year, and a credit is defined as 1,810. Lots of numbers, I know. But every time that they earn $1,810, they earn a credit. You can earn up to 4 credits a year. And if you earn 6 credits before they turn 24, they qualify for SSDI on their own work record. Why is this important? Why do people get excited about this? Because 24 months after that, they get Medicare. Why is that important? Because Medicare has more doctors that accept it than Medicaid. You have wider net of doctors to choose from. So a lot of folks that know about this, that have a child that can work, they work hard before that 24th birthday to earn those 6 credits so that they can get the SSDI payments on their own work record and then get Medicare 2 years later. Fun fact. A little bit. Okay. So at this point, just spoke with our contact at Social Security. Survivor benefits, disabled adult child benefits cannot be done online. So you do need to request an appointment. So you're going to use that 800 number, use the callback feature, and set up an appointment at your local office for that. I always recommend that you take advantage of these adult disability report, or there's a childhood disability report. It just helps you gather all of the proofs that you're going to need, everything they're going to ask for when you have these appointments. I highly recommend that you have everything that they need. It'll make the process go more smoothly if you've got it. So I've given you those disability reports that you can use beforehand to gather everything that you need. I've given you the link also to disability specific, or SSDI, for that link at the bottom there. Here are some more helpful links for SSDI. Disability benefits, benefits for children with disabilities, so that would be under the age of 18. Disability starter kits, that's really gonna, those disability reports and the disability starter kits, use those before you have an appointment with Social Security. And then again, things are sands are shifting right now. So online, it will tell you if you can apply online for these programs right now. Survivor benefits. Okay. My mom was a teacher. And so she always said, tell them what you're going to teach them, and then tell them what you taught them. So here's what we're doing today. So the Social Security Administration has 2 programs for people with disabilities. One is Supplemental Security Income, or SSI. These are financial payments to help meet the basic needs of shelter, clothing, and food. It is paid monthly, and recipients have been deemed disabled by the Social Security Administration and have little or no income and resources. The other program is Social Security Disability Insurance, or SSDI. These are payments made from an insured person's earnings. Children under 18 can qualify for a payment on a parent's earnings, and adults with disabilities can qualify for a payment on their parents' earnings. There were a few questions that came in beforehand, so I made a slide and answered them here. So the question was, what is the difference between SSI and SSDI? What types of disabilities are required for each one? I hope the presentation kind of answered that. When you, the question about what type of disabilities are required, there is a list of compassionate allowances that if you've got that diagnosis, you get it, no questions asked. Those usually are very severe, life-shortening diagnoses. So God willing, most of us aren't looking at that for our children. And so it really is going to be how your disability impacts your ability to work and how different you are from the norm, if there is a norm anymore. Who knows? Okay. So then the question, I got it right before, and then it was here too. What are the current earning and assets limits for SSDI? Because I didn't really get into that too much. And the answer is my favorite answer, and everybody's favorite answer. It depends. It depends. My question to you would be, are you talking about for yourself? Are you the one? Are you the parent? If so, there's no asset or income limit. You've paid into it, you get it. But there are some links here for family benefits, because if it's your child that we're talking about, then there are some income limits. There's that SGA. It's like if you've got a disabled adult child, but they're able to work and earn more than $1,620, then they aren't going to be eligible for this because they have to be disabled if they're over the age of 18. Okay? That's why I said it kind of depends. It depends on the situation. I did find a little link here, what to report if you get family benefits from the Social Security Administration. You need to report those employment and wages. If you're 66 or younger, you need to report your employment status and wages over $23,400 pre-tax, which is probably $1,620 times 12, I imagine. And again, if you continue to work, this is your child. This is someone who's getting earnings off of or getting a payment off of your earnings. If they continue to work, your condition must also limit you from earning income above the amount we call SGA. So that was my attempt at answering that one. I always love it when I have to say it depends, but in this case, it depends on that. Okay. Diverting a little bit here before we get to the questions. There's a lot of shifting sand right now for federal benefits right now, and I'm not going to get into the politics of it today, but what I'd like to let you know about, this just came off the presses, that this Friday, August 1st at 1 p.m., there is a virtual briefing by the Illinois Department of Human Services and Healthcare and Family Services, again with the acronyms IDHS and HFS. It's a long day, so even the acronyms trip me up sometimes. So it's a virtual briefing on the big, beautiful bill that just got passed. It makes sweeping changes to programs such as SNAP and Medicaid, and how they're predicting it's going to impact the people of Illinois. And so it's the questions needed to be submitted by the end of the day today. So I think if you had a question, you can't submit them, but really it's just, there's a link that I provided. You can just click that link right before 1 o'clock on Friday, and you can hear that briefing about what's going to be happening with Medicaid and SNAP and other federal funding for the state of Illinois. And I have a special request for you all. This is very timely. I'm going to be interviewed by a research group that is looking into if what people's experience have been trying to get in touch with Social Security or connecting with them or calling them back or anything. If you've had struggles with that, or if it's gone swimmingly well, I'd like to know.
How many years go back? That question.
They're specifically looking since January 25th of 2025. Just this year. Just this year. So they're looking to see what the impact of the staffing reductions has been, consolidation of offices. They're just looking to see what the impact has been, if any, on folks. So if you have something to report about that, if you had an experience, please come see me afterwards or send me an email. I think I gave business cards to everybody. You can tell me that. The interview is going to be August 14th, so I've got a few days. But if you have anything to report to me about that, do let me know about that. Okay, so thank you all for attending today. We just covered the Social Security programs. This is part of a bigger presentation that I do that covers Medicaid and home and community-based services like getting off the PUNS list or DRS. It's a part of a bigger presentation, but we thought we'd just start with Social Security today to whet our appetites because there's usually enough questions on that. But if you have any questions, I'm here. I can take them. And if not, there's snacks, there's water, there's CEL information back there. And if you lost my business card already, it's back there as well. But thank you all for coming, staying attentive, and let me know if there's any questions.
Will you be sending us the link by email to your PowerPoint presentation?
Yes, we can send. Yes, Brittany, I sent that to Brittany, and so I may send you a PDF of this one to send out. I'll send you a PDF of this one, and I don't know how quickly. Maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow. So we'll send those out. We'll send out the hyperlinks as well, so that you can click on those to your heart's delight and do some more research. All right. Any other questions?
I have a question. I know that you mentioned that it's every 3 years that you have to resubmit to make sure that you qualify. That you mentioned that the amounts that you have to make to qualify change every year. So let's say you qualified this year, but the next year that amount changes and it technically doesn't count. How does that work? Are you locked in for those 3 years if you got in that first time? Does that make sense?
That's a great question. Wow, that was really loud there. I got really excited. Yeah, so actually the amount, your income might change, but that income and asset limit, that $2,000 is steady for now. That $2,000 limit on assets has been the same since the late 1980s. And $2,000 in 1986 probably was a lot different than $2,000 now. Just saying. There has been, last year, there was some bipartisan movement on increasing that asset limit to $10,000. I don't know where that is right now. We are 6 months into a new administration, so I don't know where that is in the docket of things being considered right now. But there seems to be bipartisan support behind that, because again, 2,000, that really requires someone to be living in poverty and not having any assets. We could have a whole other discussion about special needs trusts and ABLE accounts, but that is not for today. But that is a way to do it. Yes, and so it's really that keeping things under the $2,000 limit for now until they raise that, and we hope they will. Yeah, absolutely. If your child works, they can work and be on SSI. They absolutely can work. You would need to report that income every month to the Social Security Administration. That's something I didn't really talk about in this presentation. But again, you want to make sure that the amount that they're earning, that any bank account that they've got stays way under $2,000, just to protect that. Because the Social Security Administration does have ways. I mean, they ask for bank accounts and they will check. And if those bank accounts go over $2,000, then your payment will be changed for that following month. Yeah.
The bank account could be substantially more than that if it's SSDI.
Yes. There are different asset limits for SSDI.
Do you know what the asset limit for that is? SSDI?
That's where it depends. That's where like if SSDI for your retirement, you can have as many as you want. I'd need to look into the asset limit for that. We really focus on the income when receiving SSI, but I think I'll need to look into that asset limit for SSDI if your child is receiving a disabled adult child benefit or that childhood disability benefit.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And if you're like me, you'll think about a question in 20 minutes or in 2 hours, and you've got my business card. So please use it. Any help that we give one-on-one at the Arc of Illinois, the only thing we have to charge for are our conferences. Everything else we do is free. So don't let any concern hold you back from asking a question. This is what we do. That's what we do.
When my daughter started to work and we had to have so many things with the in-person social security service. For instance, if she works 1 hour more than the limited amount, that they will send us letter and you have to pay back. And it was such a pain. But, she needed income, so we followed up. But recent years, they never ask anything.
Because we're on DI now.
Ah,
That's the way it is.
right. So
I feel, is this okay? Nobody's following me.
yeah. So if they aren't getting in touch with you, then yeah. But yes, you bring up a good point. Is that when your child is receiving SSI or SSDI, you are having to report that because again, there's that $1,620 a month minimum. If they're starting to make more than that per month, then all of a sudden you're not going to be disabled anymore, as far as the Social Security Administration is determined. And so that's why we say if they have a job, you need to report that to Social Security and submit those pay stubs. It just becomes, once you get it up and running, it just becomes routine. Our son works 4 hours a week, so you just kind of get into the routine. Getting it up and running can be a little challenging at times, but once it's up and running, then it's just a typical thing. Yeah.
Most of the time, I accompany her to Social Security office, and people are so nice, always so caring, and I really appreciate it. And it was such a nice time to talking first.
Yes. And I'm glad to hear that. That's pretty much been my experience too. The folks that work there, my experience has been that they've been nothing but helpful and friendly. They really want to help solve your problems if they can. They're dedicated to this. Sometimes there are bumps in the road. Sometimes there are major bumps in the road, and we've got some assistance for if and when that happens. But yeah, that's been my experience, that they've been really helpful, and they've had to reduce those in-person, in-office meetings because of staffing reductions. So they try to put as much on the website. And I will say the website, it continues to get better and better with what you can find on there and information that you can do. And the Social Security Administration is very aware of how long the wait times are, and they're trying to do things like if you're on hold for a local office and you've been waiting for a while, they'll transfer it to another regional office if they possibly can to see if they can help. They have the callback feature. There's also a way on the Social Security website to look at how long a wait might be on there so that you can know when to call, or I'm not waiting that long, or oh, the callback's going to be in 3 hours and I'm going to be in my doctor's appointment at that point, so I'm not going to do that right now. So they're working on it. They're working on it as best they can. Yeah. Another fun fact, my dad worked for the Social Security Administration for 33 years and retired under the Clinton administration. And he hears some of the things I talk about. He's like, things have changed a lot since 1996. That's crazy. But I'm kind of glad to follow in his footsteps and at least educate people about Social Security programs. All right. Again, if you have any other questions, I'll be here for a little bit. You've got my business cards, but thank you so much for coming out. It's good to be with you all tonight. And thanks to CEL for inviting me.